You are now tuned into Flippin The Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 38 of Flippin The Birds. I'm Brian Cameron. He's Chris Infante, and today we are joined by El Jefe, the man in charge, the man with the hair, Liam Jenkins.
I'm just here to cancel FTB. I'm just coming on to publicly. No, I'm kidding. I mean, you guys have smashed it recently, so I'm now just coming back to restore some chaos and shake things up a little bit. It's been fun. I mean, yeah, you mentioned the hair. It's all gone a bit wrong. I don't know.
When we're here on the podcast, honestly.
I know, but I noticed. I mean, your facial hair's growing a bit. You've got some. And I know, Chris, you've both clearly been taking full advantage of this Manscaped deal to make it look very, very
we'll get into that later.
How you feeling, Chris?
I am sore. For those of you that don't know, which is probably everyone, I just took a 10-hour drive from New Jersey to South Carolina. I am in beautiful Surfside Beach, South Carolina right now. Well, it should have been a 10-hour. Actually, it should have been a 9-hour and 48-minute drive. I when we were at the gas station by my house, I put it in. And the combination of having a 5-month-old and a dog in the car turned it into a 12-hour ride. So my back is still recovering from sitting in the car for that long. But it's nice. I'm a little burnt. My shoulder's a little burnt. While everybody's up at Jersey or England and cold and everything, I'm on the beach. So
yeah, it's still cold in Jersey. That's kind of mind blowing. It's May already.
Okay. It's boiling over here. I don't know what it is. We're having like the hottest summer in a time we can't go out. It's brilliant, which is amazing because, this whole pandemic has ruined my summer plans of staying inside and writing Eagles stuff anyway. So I was gutted to, see that this pandemic came out because now how else am I going to stay inside and write Eagles content? Okay.
So staying on the topic of the Eagles, interesting debate that I'm going to bring up right now. And it's not a quarterback debate. To those who are in the PSN Slack chat, tight ends. Zach Ertz. I wrote an article and I stated that my knowledge on the situation is that he's still very, very much underrated, especially with the breakout of George Kittle, if you want to call it that. Where does Zach Ertz rank for you guys before I get into my ranking?
I'll let you go first, Chris. I want to cower away for a minute.
I mean, here's the thing. When people look at tight ends, they look at, can he block? Can he release? How well is he releasing? Is he more of a receiver? Is he more of a blocker? Ertz is obviously we love Ertz. We all love Ertz. The thing, with Ertz, I don't think he's the total package. And I'm going to cower away like Liam is because we're going to get destroyed by people saying, "Oh, of course Ertz is," but Ertz catches the ball, and then that's it. For the most part, you want to see more effort out of him. And it's, everybody's bringing up Michael Thomas this week because of how much he's been a crybaby with the Devontae Parker stuff, and and how he had 148 catches for 1,700 yards. His yards per catch is like 11 or 12. That's kind of like Zach Ertz territory. Zach Ertz has the volume. That's why he has the yards, because he gets open and he catches the ball. When he had his 116 catch last year, he was only averaging 10 yards a catch. And this year, 88 catches for 916 yards. That's 10.4 yards a catch. His best was his rookie year was 13. Then 12.1, 11.4, 10.5, 11.1, 10.0, and 10.4. So when he catches the ball, that's essentially where it is. To give him some credit, his yards per target, like last year, his yards per target were 6.8. So his yards per reception 10.4. So he's getting 3 yards after. But he doesn't really do what the other guy, like Kelsey, takes the ball and he goes. Kittle, he takes the ball and he goes. Mark Andrews is getting up there too. Njoku was supposed to be that guy, and he fell off the face of the earth. OJ Howard was supposed to be that guy, and he fell off the face of the earth. Evan Ingram, but he's more of a wide receiver in my mind, you know. And but it's Ertz. The way he catches the ball and the way he fights for the ball, it makes him one of the top tight ends in the league. I do think Kelsey is number one. Now that Gronk's back, though. Who knows?
We don't know what we're gonna get out of him yet.
Who knows what if we get wrestling Gronk or we get?
Hasn't he got a title that he's got to defend at some point?
It is gonna be interesting because the first day he gets out there practice, someone could pin him. It's a 24/7.
Oh, imagine!
It's a 24/7 championship. Someone can pin him, and that's it. He takes it. They take it.
What if Brady?
What I was about to say? What if Brady comes out of nowhere and people's elbow on it? He just pins him, and then Brady's champ. Again. But that's my thing with Ertz. There's just he does so many things well, but he also does a lot of things not so well.
The thing I will counter that with, if I can, is you can make a comment with Ertz in the way that a lot of people just see him as the same tight end year on year, right? Go back to 2016, it was Zach Ertz can't block. Zach Ertz is, he's the best option. There's no receiving help, so he's getting the volume. 2017, you have Alshon Jeffrey that opens up his game. It's, now there's no excuse for the no help. I mean, they've got a speedster in Torrey Smith. You've got a number one receiver. He's still getting the volume. He's still just as productive. Let's cross that off. Then it was, now Brent Selleck's gone. He need a blocking tight end. Zach Ertz hasn't really been asked to block because of Brent Selleck existing and Ertz being the better receiver. So now you're in a spot where you need a blocking tight end. So they draft Dallas Goedert, who is a phenomenal blocker, does not get enough credit. I think he's probably one of the top blocking tight ends in the league. Zach Ertz improved as a blocker in 2018. Wasn't great, but he was good. It was a step forward. And Goddard did the opposite. His receiving came up. 2019, same sort of thing as 2016, where there's a real lack of help and everyone dies. But Ertz as a blocker came on leaps and bounds. Now, you might have to fact check this because I'm going off the dome here. I'm pretty sure he had the exact same receiving and blocking grade by PFF last year, and I think it was 79.4. I might be wrong. If I am, please don't choke slam me. I'm not entering that Gronk title fight just yet. But you see an improvement. Like, he has come on leaps and bounds as a blocker. And because of that, there hasn't been as much of a, oh my God, Richard Rodgers is injured. They haven't had a tight end 3 since Trey Burton, right? You had Billy Brown couldn't hack it. Richard Rodgers was there. Like, 13 personnel has disappeared. Josh Perkins is a slot receiver. You're so reliant on those two guys. And in those nub tight end sets where there's one either side of the line, you can make it work now. And Ertz, in my opinion, because of that, like, he is bringing extra value. It's just not going noticed because you're not looking for it. Everyone sees him as 800, 900-yard receiver. You're looking for him with the ball in his hands. The only thing he has to improve is yards after the catch. And it's still at a point where he can't shed a tackle. And when he does, it trends on Twitter. It's like, oh my God, it's so euphoric that he actually shed contact. That's what Kittle has over him, in my opinion. That's where Kittle and Kelsey can either... Kelsey bullies his way through. Kittle, for me, turns into Saquon Barkley and just becomes an inhuman alien to bring down.
Kelsey is targeted 2 yards more than Ertz. So game planning wise, they send them out more. I'm looking at the first 7 seasons for a tight end in history. Ertz is 6th in yards. He's first in receptions. He has the most receptions through tight ends for 7 years, 2 in front of Jason Witten. But through receiving yards, he's 6th. It's Kelsey at number 1. Same draft. They were in the same draft. Ertz was 2nd round. Kelsey was 3rd round. So Kelsey's at 64-65 through 7 years. 12.75 yards per reception, 37 touchdowns, 67 yards per game, and a 9.04 yards per target. Jimmy Graham is number 2, 62-80. Antonio Gates, 62-23. Gronk, 60-95, which would be that was for 7 years. Never mind. Jason Witten, 59-65, and then you got Zach Ertz, 57-43, and then you got Tony Gonzalez, 56-47. So yeah, like he would be so much higher on this list if he was so great at shedding tackles and that's the thing with all his receptions. He has 18 more receptions than Kelsey. So if you have all and it's only 7, he's only 700 yards behind Kelsey. So if you all the yards after the catch that he could have had that where he just either lays right down or he goes backwards like that one game. I will defend him a little bit on that because his momentum was going down the field. Obviously, he had to stop, get the ball, and then he sees a defender going straight at him. So I credit him for stopping like that because he was hoping the guy just sped past him and didn't go around him. But that didn't happen. But if he could just add that to his game, like he would. There were no stop him because he gets 8 to 10 catches a game. So there should be a reason why he's 8 catches, 80 yards. It should be really 8 catches, 110, 120 yards if he could really go after it. Do
you not think? I mean, just before Brian steps in, I want to position this to Brian. Do you not think it is a bit Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald? Like, are we just in a really unlucky era for the Eagles? Like, think of it, you got Fletcher Cox. If Aaron Donald doesn't exist, is a generational talent. Zach Ertz, if George Kittle and his hair doesn't exist, is maybe considered in that same conversation as Gronk, but already is with Kelsey, right? Miles Sanders now has a tremendous backfield you've got guys like Saquon, who we know
in the whole division.
Yeah, like it's the same. I mean, Wentz.
Actually, except Darius, guys.
With Mahomes, and it's like, are we just unfortunate that the guys aren't getting that kind of credit because the positions are so saturated with greatness right now?
Well, that's what I want to go to next because if you actually look at everybody, like for example, like Aaron Donald, who did he have rushing alongside with him last year?
Was it
Sue?
Yeah, it was Sue. Yeah,
it was Sue. He had Sue.
No, Sue. I think Sue was on Tampa last year, actually.
Yeah, Sue was a year before. Yeah. Last year he had somebody that was actually pretty decent rushing with him. Cox hasn't really had nobody decent rushing with him. Then you have
don't disrespect Benny Logan like that.
You leave big boy Anthony Rush out of this conversation. All right, I'm leaving this podcast. We'll not have it.
Then you bring in Wentz. Wentz doesn't have.
Don't disrespect Bo Allen like that.
I thought you meant you were going to put Wentz at defensive tackle. I was like, okay.
No. My point is that it's unfair what the Eagles organization has put alongside these great players. Like Zach Ertz doesn't have the weapons around him that Travis Kelce has, that Mark Andrews has now. And that George Kittle has now. He doesn't have that. So if the field's not getting stretched to the point where, if you don't have Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins alongside of you, Kelce has all this to eat because everybody's focused on the outside. And now you have Mecole Hardman that you got to the mix. So it's kind of like, I feel like this year is kind of like where we'll actually see what the fruit of Zach Ertz is really going to be. I'm
a little bit concerned on that. I know this is a separate discussion. And if I could just jump in real quick with it, is like, there was sort of that concern before, right? Where when 2017 happened and Olshon came in, Aguilar was expected to rebound because, Peterson sat in for a couple of weeks, got his head right, then he came back and it was great. Then they're bringing Torrey Smith and it's like, well, now there's so much traffic and now there's so much volume. Like, it's going to be like Golden State, right? It has to be this selfless brand of football where if Nelson Aguilar can't go, Olshon Jeffrey goes. If Jeffrey can't go, hey, Zach Ertz is open. That, for better or worse, kind of didn't work, and we had the old Shononous sources thing happen. It's been a bit of a train wreck since. This year, you've now got Goodwin, Hightower, Kes Watkins, Greg Ward Jr., all realistically potentially playing slot at some point. We know that Deshaun Jackson plays 40% of his snaps from the slot. If he moves in, it wouldn't surprise me if you've got possession guy outside in J-Jort or Olshon, Rager outside, and then D-Jax in the slot. That, for me, makes me very flustered. I like that idea. But then you've got 2 franchise tight ends, arguably. You've got a franchise running back in Miles Sanders, who, as we know, blew the league up in terms of receiving production last year. Is someone
who also said today that he wants to be the best rusher / receiver in the league. He wants to be better than McCaffrey. That's McCaffrey.
So who's going to take the knock on the chin here? Because it's not going to be one guy getting 2,000 yards and the rest getting nothing. Like, realistically, it's a spread. That's the only concern I think I've got right now. It's especially at tight end where Ertz has been able to rack up 800-900 yards a year, not quite eclipse that 1K. Is he ever going to do that now to assert himself in that conversation when there are so many mouths to feed with this little pie?
There are a lot of mouths to see with this little pie, but I am excited to see all the mouths be fed.
What are you looking up right now?
No,
Brilliant content.
I'm not looking up anything. Well, I am looking up something, but I'm just saying, like last year, Wentz had this whole. We'll just get this pie analogy and give shit. Wentz had this whole pie that he baked. That I'm sure his wife probably baked because she's pregnant, and pregnant women love to bake. They just got nothing. They got nothing. They got nothing else to do. And my wife became the best baker when she was pregnant. So he had this nice pie, and he was trying to sling it, the pieces of pie to everybody. Everybody was just dropping it. It's on the ground. He's like, here's some apple pie. Here's some apple pie, Nelson Aguilar, and then he's like, oh, and it went into the dirt. Yeah.
If your pregnant wife starts throwing pie, that's a bad sign. You should get her down, have a chat, and make sure she's okay.
Hey, you don't know what we do in our spare time.
You said, do you want an apple? Just like,
so what if we have pie fights?
Whatever floats your boat, man.
Tell us what we do. Well, I'm just saying, like now, he might not. Again, he could have that pie right now, and there's so many mouths at the table to be fed. Some games it may be, Jackson getting the yards, and then the next game will be Rager getting the yards, and then Ertz getting the yards, and then so it's going to be like, who the hell is going to be eating today on defensive side? Like they're like, who do we plan for today? Who do we put tape over the mouth so they can't eat?
What was Ertz's numbers week 1 with Deshaun on the field?
Stand by.
I think it was 64 on top of my head.
Stand by.
I think it was 64 yards because I remember going to that game.
No, it was 54.
Oh, come on, cut me some.
Had it. Almost had it.
5 receptions for 54 yards.
No touchdown.
0 touchdowns. 7
Oh,
targets. And he only played 61 snaps.
And Goddard only had 2 receptions.
So now, that's the thing. Like when everybody's fully healthy, unless Wentz is throwing the ball 60 times a game, it's unless we get Chip Kelly. Maybe we get Chip Kelly back and get to run those 90 plays a game.
I mean that's intriguing in itself, though. Like where, we know Miles Sanders is going to be the guy and the star of the show and everything, but there isn't really a running back rotation behind him. Like, Billy, as the chief of the Boston Scott train, I'm very aware of what the guy can do, and couldn't be happier with his blower. Like, I was driving that all through preseason. But you'd like to see some kind of like contingency plan there, or just some sort of variety. And typically, it's 4 backs. It's the powerhouse, the dual threat, the return, and kind of absolute wizard on speed, level ace, and then I don't know, the other guy that can do stuff. It gets to that point. Whereas now it's Miles Sanders, budget Miles Sanders, super budget Miles Sanders who drops kick returns, and then 2 undrafted free agents. So unless Jalen Hurts is going to be this wildcat running back, like you're surely going to have to throw more anyway. Especially with that many wide receivers, like you've stacked like 1 million wide receivers, about 3 running backs. I think we are going to see like this, not an air raid offense, but if they really want Wentz to sling the ball, like I think they're going all in with it.
And remember what your source said about Wentz's numbers.
Whose source? Mine source or Chris's?
Oh, Chris's source. Sorry.
I was going to say my source. Like,
Liam was looking in the room, like looking for his source.
What did my source say about Wentz's numbers? Enlighten me, because I don't know what my source said.
It's off the air. Anyways, speaking of the Eagles organization.
Oh, we've made Adam Kaplan look stupid. I'll tell you that for free.
Do I have a new source that I don't know? Did they text me today? Hold on.
So we think at this. Well, we're under the understanding right now that we feel like Ertz may regress, depending on what now.
Yeah, I don't think regress. I just think that another standard Zach Ertz season of 800-900 yards, fair few touchdowns, same. But he'll improve because he's improved every year. It's just so subtle that it's not like other players like Mark Andrews blew up, like George Kittle blew up. Like Ertz came out the gate swinging and has been consistent ever since. And it's like, well, where do you look for improvement with that? And you don't see that of going week to week. It's not like Miles Sanders where he came out week 1, couldn't read an offensive line, didn't know where he was going, just sort of ran forward or was too patient and hope. Then by week 8, he's just like decoding the matrix behind the line of scrimmage. Like, you can see that. But like, it's a lot harder with Ertz because you're not typically paying attention to blocking. So I think we'll see much of the same. But it's intriguing that Peterson was very like, oh, we'll have a look at San Fran's offense, but he won't steal everything. Like, the offense will stay the same. And I'm like, will it? Really?
I'm convinced Raygor's our Debo Samuel.
Yeah, oh, I'm
He's
sure.
gonna be a monster.
He's
But
gonna
where do
be-
you guys rank Ertz on the list? So Travis Kelce won, obviously, but
So I'd say 3. I mean,
Yeah, I'd say
Kittle's
3.
just
Ryan Kittle.
spicy. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Kittle.
Really?
It's spicy. Yeah,
Interesting.
I think Andrews doesn't do it. I think, yeah, behind Kittle. Kittle's like, I don't know.
Is it because Kittle's more explosive?
It's because Kittle's got my haircut, like when it's normally slipped back. Nah, it's just because Kittle can do more with the ball in his hands. I think Ertz has to get into the space and the ball given to him for it to work.
Like Kittle can stiff arm someone to the moon.
I know that is just he's the most to me. I think Kittle's the most complete tight end with the highest upside. I think Kelce production wise, like it's really hard to choose between the two. It's nitpicking at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're going to draft one, like if we had a big fantasy draft, you drafted one for the next 5 years. I think you go Kittle, toss a coin between Ertz and Kelce. Probably Ertz because is he a little bit younger? They're the same draft, aren't they? So they're like
Right now, since Kittle was drafted, 2017 to now, he's second in the league in yards and tight ends.
He's just mad.
Kelce is 36.03 in the last 3 years. Kittle's 29.45. Ertz is 29.03.
Yeah, really.
Kelsey's been targeted 306 times. I'm sorry, Kittle 306 times, caught 216. Kelsey's targeted 408 times and 283.
Like Kittle with the ball in his hand is a menace.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He yards per target for Kittle 9.62 and his yards per reception are 13.63. So as soon as he gets the ball, he goes.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jared Cook apparently. 9.8 yards, 9.08 yards per target, 13.87 yards per reception.
I'd love that to be like one freak tight end that's had one screen pass go for like 80 yards, and it's like yards per target 1, yards per reception like 98, and he just gone. PFF graphic of like this was the week's most dominant tight end.
I think Vernon Davis got a little bit of a bump because of his
hurdle over us?
his hurdle over
Like 6 defenders?
because he has a 9.18 yards per target and 14.59 yards per reception. I think that helped him balloon it up a little bit.
That was a terrible, terrible play. Anyways, so let's talk Eagles for this week. So Doug Peterson finally spoke, and he spoke very highly of Andre Dillard, which a lot of people, I guess, scratched their heads to because of the report that came out saying that the Eagles weren't sold on Dillard, that they're thinking about bringing Peters back or keeping Peters at the time. And he said they're still in talks with Jason Peters. Are we believing his statement, or are the Eagles up to no good again?
It's tricky to decode because realistically, Peterson, I didn't buy the Dillard stuff to begin with, although it was total BS. It wouldn't have, like, I mean, realistically, like having gone through the film on him so many times and put out 2 film rooms on his like rookie season, the only game that was anything less than decent was Seattle, where he was lobbed to the Lions at right tackle and where it was sink or swim. And then Jason Peters went, "Oh, I would have done it." It's like a bit late.
Right after the game, of course.
Yeah, right. But outside of that, I thought he showed real signs of promise. And Jeff Stoutland, there is no way Stoutland coaches Mailata for 2 years. He makes limited progress after a fantastic first 6 months, very marginal year 1 to year 2. Dillard goes from being, I don't know, it's a project, his arms are too short, I don't know if he's ready, like his kickback's big enough, like he's got happy feet, but he doesn't kind of engage blocks well. So then midway through, silencing Khalil Mack, having a great game against the Bills, he wouldn't not be happy with it. It's Jeff Stoutland. Like, that's exactly the progress you want. But the Jason Peters thing, I think it is all kind of in a team politics because we know the weight he carries. It's Jason Peters. Like, you can't not say no to him, but that's not. I think it was 2017, wasn't it, where Wisniewski got benched for a bit for no reason other than the fact that you can't bench Lane Johnson, can't bench Jason Kelce, can't bench Jason Peters. Well, the most consistent guy is Wisniewski, but we can get rid of him for a bit and we'll let Chance Warmack have a go. It was just bizarre. Like, he carries so much weight. And My concern with it is I don't think he'll come back or want to come back as a backup. If he does, it'd be heroic. But
I think he's going to be an August signing, if anything. I don't think I think I saw a report that the Raiders looking into him or something.
I think the Browns were as well.
The Browns were lately, apparently some teams were keeping tabs on him. But if he wants to stay with the Eagles, I think it's going to be something in July, August. Let's say some semblance of a training camp happens, or during these virtual workouts, someone works out the wrong way and tears something. I think that's when Jason Peters comes in. Let's say, this is all, obviously we don't want this to happen. If we look at the scenarios, let's say, because, isn't Brandon Brooks still healing? Or is he?
He looks to be a lot better right now.
Because if, let's say Brandon Brooks is not ready to go training camp, well, I think he will because he heals like the Flash.
He's a freak of nature.
So let's say August, the line isn't that healthy. Are they going to trust Driscoll to come in as a guard, or they're not going to switch Prince over? They're not going to move Herbig over because he's a center. So maybe what if they ask Kelsey, Peters, hey, if Brandon Brooks is not healthy, you want to line up next to Johnson for a couple games?
That would be phenomenal. I would take
that. That would be.
But my only worry is that you brought up a point last week where
I bring up a lot of points.
With a 2-year-old horn. Anyways, you mentioned that Jason Peters kind of held back the run game on the left side of the right side of the line. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Jason Peters did?
Yeah.
Lane Johnson was the one who was propelling the running game. Whenever Lane Johnson was out,
held back because of his age and his movement.
When I was looking at the percentage of carries, like we were talking to Liam on the side, there was really all this pull action from Brooks and Johnson because they could move. When they ran all those sweeps to the left and all that, they didn't really need Jason Peters to move that much. Just block the guy in front of you, and we'll have the other. We'll have Kelsey come over, we'll have Lane come over and block the shit out of people on the side. But when you went to the other side, didn't really do that well because Peters couldn't lug his ass over there and get going.
So my question is, do you hinder the offense, the running game by bringing Peters back? And on top of that, hindering the growth of Andre Dillard, because if Peters comes back, it's gonna
if Peter comes back, they might as well trade Dillard. There's no point.
I don't agree. I think I don't know. I think it'll be such a backwards thing though.
You do know right now Peters is coming back just because remember last time Doug Peterson gave full confidence someone like Mike Rowe and all that, he said they're going to be here. They got fired. So the fact that he just said in his press conference, Andre Dillard is our left tackle, Peters is going to be signed tomorrow.
I feel like, okay, I'm going to give an analogy, and I gave this on Twitch the other day, so I feel very comfortable doing it now. Normally, I'm not sure if you ever heard this story. A couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was in a relationship. That's a shocking fact on its own right, let's be honest, okay? That's basically breaking news. And the girl that I was with, her cat died. And it was quite sad. She was on FaceTime to me. She was bawling her eyes out. She was crying. And I was writing an article. And she was like, "Are you writing?" And I was like, "No." And she lost it, went crazy, basically nearly broke up over it. So I was like, okay, let's never do that again. I feel like that's the Eagles. I don't think they're very aware. Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, no matter how you look at it, no matter what it's been positioned as, and it could be the best thing that's happened to this offense. He might come in and be Taysom Hill on steroids, blow the league up, and the Eagles go to a Super Bowl because of that injection of what he brings.
If Jalen Hurts throws one pass and completes it for 5 yards, and the Eagles win the Super Bowl, and it's Wentz, he throws for 500 yards in the Super Bowl, Eagles don't get there if Hurts doesn't complete that 1 yard, that 5 yard pass.
But no matter how you package it, no matter what happens, no matter how you package it, you cannot go to someone and be like, "Hey, here's a guy that plays your exact same position, that is younger, that is drafted way high. He's not a threat though." Like it doesn't matter who you are.
And Nate Sudfeld will still be the backup.
Yeah, but it's gonna create at least some kind of what the hell, what? All right, fine, I'm okay with it. Team first, but all right. You look at Dillard and Peters. Dillard was drafted to replace Peters. He comes in, gets that left tackle spot. Let's bring Peters back. No matter how they position it and say, oh, it's just an insurance plan, best available, whatever. Dillard's, I would take that if I was Dillard. Is all right, you don't fully trust me. That's a knock. JJ Arthega-Whiteside, Alshon Jeffrey, same sort of thing. He goes across the roster like Rasul Douglas and Dexter McDougal. Like,
oh, wow.
I don't think for a team that is so branded on emotional intelligence, they've made some very emotionally unintelligent moves over the last 2 years. And if it works, brilliant. But the only concern I have is that you've got a young tackle. It's already 24, isn't he? I think now, coming into his second year. Is just basically come out of what was a fairly good rookie year, a stint that he had, and then be told, nah, do you know what? There's been a lot of hearsay this offseason. We're going to trade you. Don't worry about that, but we will bring back the guy that is a future Hall of Famer and is now breathing down your neck. So the slightest mistake and you're going to be pulled out and this guy goes in, and that stagnates your growth. And it's like, that's the only thing. Go and sign a Beecham. Go and sign a veteran tackle out there somewhere. You don't need to bring in Jason Peters. Like, make it someone new that clearly isn't a threat. That is a bit of but not terrible, but a bit average. Yeah, you don't go and bring in Hall of Fame Peters because, again, I don't get who you are. It's going to mess with your head a little bit. Like, and that's what I don't get. That's the only concern. I fully get the move from a business standpoint, from a GM standpoint. It's perfect. It's on paper. The guy's still ready to go. Had a pretty good year last year, despite being flagged every 3 snaps. And outside of that, about as good as you could ask for. But if you want to build for the future, you want to instill confidence in young players, not the way to do it. That's my only concern.
I 100% agree with that.
But you know what?
The boys, there we go.
I completely agree with that. It makes
but you
sense.
know what? No matter what happens with Jason Peters, we all know he's going to go down as one of the greatest left tackles of all time, correct?
But that doesn't mean you have to keep on carrying his career.
I mean, he would be considered the GOAT of left tackles, right?
He's becoming the Metallica of the NFL. Just won't go away. Just like, look, he plays into the Sandman once a year. Everyone loves it. Like, woo! 6 song into the set list. It's like, all right. I mean, it's like, when are this band on? When's this next young, exciting band coming on?
But I mean, you know, and I'm hoping that 15 years down the line we'll have the discussion of Carson Wentz is the greatest of all time, also. But right now, Jason Peters, his number probably won't be retired, but it probably won't be reassigned ever again. He might be given the LaShawn McCoy treatment, or maybe even the Malcolm Jenkins treatment, or for however long that is. But you know, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, and we're gonna jump off of football for a minute and go to basketball. I don't know if you guys seen, you know, the Last Dance has been like really sparking the debate of who's the greatest of all time. You know, LeBron or Jordan. But you do know who is undisputed greatest of all time for one thing? It's Manscaped. It's Manscaped is the GOAT for below the belt grooming. It's the only men's brand dedicated to below the waist grooming and hygiene. Hey Brian and LJ. When was the last time you shaved your balls?
I don't need to, mate. I'm kidding.
No, that's the title of the podcast.
A month ago, maybe.
Flippin the Birds, episode 38. When was the last time you shaved your balls? Because I'm telling you, you could be your own Phil Jackson and safely draw plays in your pubes with a lawnmower 3.0. Because of their ceramic blade and skin-safe technology, your snags will be reduced while designing your own triangle offense down under. Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0 Essentials Kit. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with the new improved Lawnmower 3.0, water-resistant cordless body trimmer, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag for you to use when we're done quarantining. I'm telling you, I am down in South Carolina. Again, another 12-hour trip. I made sure to take everything with me. I have their crop preserver. I have their crop reviver. I have the body wash. I have the foot deodorant. I have everything. So don't you dare gamble on manscaping like MJ did before Game 2 of the '93 Conference Finals. Play it safe with Lawnmower 3.0. Get 20% off free shipping using the code FTB at checkout. And I'm telling you, these liquid formulations are the best supporting cast since Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. Best supporting cast since Greg Ward and whoever else the Eagles lined up last year. So FTB at checkout, manscaped.com, 20% off, free shipping. There you go.
You're talking about supporting cast. If the Eagles bring him back, you got to get rid of one or the other. I mean,
There's no room for him.
you can't. Like, you cannot do this.
You just invested 2 of your draft picks in the line. You got some undrafted free agents for the line. You still got Herberg, who by all accounts I've heard that he's a pretty solid center prospect. Sayamalo did not miss a snap last year, and he only had 6 penalties the whole year. He did pretty solid work on the running game.
And they're still working on Mailata.
Jordan, again, I forgot about him. You got Jordan Mailata. There's no room for Jason Peters. There is room for LaShawn McCoy, but that was a thing for two podcasts ago. But there's no room for another tackle on this team unless someone gets hurt or a rookie severely underperforms in camp. There's no room.
I mean, that's even more reason to bring one in because we were talking. I say we were talking. I mean, what I mean is I wrote an article earlier today about virtual workouts and stuff, and how much pressure there is. And Peterson kept mentioning grass time, which isn't what I call having hay fever breakdowns. It's just kind of going out there and padded practices essentially, which they can't have right now. As rookies and as linemen, bearing in mind like Tega Wanigo and Jack Driscoll both came in late round out of Auburn. Like it's a weird off season. And you've got training camp, preseason, and that's it now. Like there isn't much time to get up to speed and ready to go. And God forbid the injury bug strikes and someone does go down, and you're going to put in Tega Wanigo, who's maybe had, let's say, outside of practices, a few preseason snaps of borderline practice squad guys. If you put him in against, let's say, stick him against the Cowboys for now to see what DeMarcus Lawrence can do. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, all right, well, now he's not had much practice, and now we're in a bit of bother. That worries me a bit. I think, like, you can make more of an argument for veterans one more time, but we can excuse Howie one more time. Because you need that. If one guy goes down, you're going to put in a rookie, throw him to the water, and just pray he knows where to put his arms. Because if not, it's going to end up like...
Well, you're talking about regular veterans. You're not talking about Jason Peters, right?
I mean, anyone will do at this point. Just one for each spot would be nice. If I'm not being fussy about it. Like, if it was me running the roster, I wouldn't have signed that many undrafted free agents. I think you've infused enough.
I love their undrafted free agents.
You love it. It's a great haul. I can see why they did. But I would, maybe shift a couple guys on to clear up some rostering. Like,
outside of Jason Peters, the free agent list right now for...
You've got Kelvin Beacham's there. That would be the guy I looked at.
Yeah, I don't know Beacham, but you're looking at Donald Penn, who's not good. Greg Robinson. That's really T.J. Clemmings, Cordy Glenn, Jamarcus Webb, Marshall Newhouse. It's
not the best.
Right, but would you rather that than again a Jordan?
One name that I was surprised for, and too bad we don't need a guard, is Larry Warford got cut by the Saints, and he's a very good guard. Very good guard. So if a guard goes down, maybe you look his way than trying to get Peters to come in and switch positions. Larry Warford is a very, very, very good player.
Would it be the worst thing in the world for Peters to come in and switch positions?
To what? Like, again, to what? What's he going to do? Guard? Where's he going to go? Brandon Brooks is not going anywhere unless he's not healing, right? Well, Sayamalo, like, I was saying this to someone on Twitter. Like, he just signed an extension. They said it was Iraq. I'll call you out Iraq. He said he signed the most team-friendly deal, but still, extension is extension. Mm-hmm. They have $4 million dead cap if they cut him this year, which they wouldn't anyway. They really can't get out of contract till next season. But why take off one of your best offensive linemen, from last year to get a 37, 38-year-old player to switch positions for the first time in his career? I know we know he can do it. He was a tight end to become an elite left tackle. So who says he can't do it? We saw the footwork, we saw the no pads workouts that he's been putting out there. But what happens when when we have a 1st and 10 in the red zone, and then he false starts us to the 30? I think his time is done.
What you can do is just go back and look at every game he played last year and get the answer. I mean, Nah, I love JP. I think everyone does. It's a tricky one, but I feel like you need some depth. Peters is by far the best option. He's like some sort of exception to the rule that he's still available. The point I brought up the other day in a video on the YouTube channel was that like it's all very well and good that he's declining deals under this guise of I'm holding up for the Eagles and doing a very Liam and his ex sort of vibe. That's great. Does it not give Peters leverage if Howie lowballs him? If Howie says, hey, is a deal worth veterans minimum 700K, whatever it is, he's like, well, yeah, but the Browns offered me $5 million for a year. So
the Browns come back and say, oh, no, we don't, you're not getting that anymore.
But but then it's like, if he wants to stay in Philly, Roseman's got to cough up a bit. And I feel like the longer he's on the market, the longer he's declining deals, it's only going to up his price a little bit as that urgency sets in. He's a very smart man, Jason Peters. And he's only ever taken, as far as I'm aware, one pay cut in Philadelphia. He's never had to. He's kind of turned away while everyone else has done it for him. I don't know. I mean, I think he's a team-friendly guy. Whether or not he'd just suck up a veterans minimum to come and play backup for a year, I'm not sure. I think Howie might have to cough something up just to get him on the roster. And at that point, if you're paying him like $2 million, $3 million, and it's more than you're paying Andre Dillard, then it's like, okay, right. Well, now we're going to have the political side of it coming.
Yeah.
So right now, Jason Peters is that girl at the bar, and she's waiting for the right guy to come by. And the Eagles will only walk into that bar is if they get divorced or they break up or with someone on their line, and they're just looking for anyone right there to rebound, to use as a rebound. And Jason Peters is that 2 a.m. girl that they come in, they're like, listen, I'm drunk. Let's just go back. and then 7 a.m. comes around like, oh.
See, there's a saying for that kind of thing in England, and I don't think I want to say it on a podcast. I have to say it off the air.
We have no filter here, though, Jay.
But we can't just be dropping so we call it the wounded antelope.
The what?
A winded antelope.
Yeah, so like you're a lion.
I get it. You want that antelope that's all the way in the front, but you're gonna take the one that's all winded at the back.
Yeah, the one that can't quite keep up. The one that's a little bit like, it's out of energy. Its legs missing. Like you just.
It's missing an antler.
It is, mate.
That's Jason Peters right now.
Right, Jason Peters is a wounded out. What a train wreck this has been.
This has been bad. Every time LJ comes on, it gets bad.
I love it though. That's what I do. It's a vibe.
Wow. Okay. So Jason Peters is a wounded antelope, and we're gonna move from there.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
So to recap, Zach Ertz is the second or third best tight end in the league, and Jason Peters is a wounded antelope.
Yes.
So what does that make Miles Sanders now?
The gazelle that goes.
Oh yeah, he's striding away like
He's not even close to those lines.
He's not even close. As he goes away.
Yeah. He's not even close. He's gone. He's the cheetah.
Lions can't even keep up. Lions are just like watching him go. Like, I hate to see you leave. Yeah. Love to watch you go.
I'll be honest. I have no idea where we go from here now.
Yeah. I mean, there is something I wanted to bring up. I mean, really quickly. I don't know how much time we've got left on the show, and I don't want to commandeer it, but I wrote an article yesterday about the Eagles' salary cap situation.
I would love to know what a sarticle is.
Huh?
I would love to know what a sarticle is.
It's basically an article, but written sarcastically by me. I read this piece on the salary cap. They're minus $50 million in 2021. Everyone's like, well, there's two different avenues. Some people are like, don't worry about it. Howie Roseman, cap will move. Oh yeah, but it might not because COVID has happened. And we don't even know like the financial ramifications of this. Like, is this going to mean the league isn't profitable in 20? If you can't sell concessions and tickets and you have empty stands,
did you see how much money the teams are going to lose per game?
A lot.
I was sent a thing. It's not really relevant, but about baseball teams and the amount they're losing, and it's scary just from ticket sales. Like,
yeah, I thought ticket sales for NFL would be $200 million per game for teams.
Jeez.
What? That's a lot.
Right. So I can't see the cap moving up that much. If anything, a bit backwards. The Eagles are 25 million away from the next closest team. So the Saints are on 31. over the cap. The Eagles are projected minus 50. You can look at Olsen and be like, yeah, well, he'll go, and then Derek Barnett will go. And well, that's lovely, but that still only saved you, what, 17 million? Well done. Where's the other 30 coming from? You've then got to look at Carson Wentz's deal is going to be getting very up there. You're paying 2 defensive tackles by that point, very good money. Your offensive lineman, you're going to have to start paying a couple guys. And then you've got Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, who at the end of 2021 are going to be free agents and the same class at the same time. So Ertz right now, who I pegged for getting the next big extension because I think he's absolutely earned it. We were just talking about this before the podcast where you've now got Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, I think Mark Andrews and Dallas Goedert, I think all in the same free agency class in 2021. That's an interesting picture. And we know that Howie Roseman with his money is very credit cardy. It's like, we'll pay off this balance, move it onto another credit card with a lower interest rate, pay it off, move it, and keep doing it and doing it and doing it and backloading and adding dummy years. This might come and bite him in the arse at some point. Like, I don't know when. I think in the next year or two, there are going to be some shocking decisions that are going to leave fans like, wow, okay. Like, Darius Slay, by that point, is going to be making silly money because of the way the deal was loaded. Avonte Maddox might need a new deal by that point. Andre Dillard is going to need a new deal by that point. Like, it's going to get so tight by 2021. And it's all very well thinking, yeah, it's 2 years away. But as we know, like, we were 2 years ago, we're forecasting a Carson Wentz extension and a Malcolm Jenkins extension and a Lane Johnson extension, how all these pieces are going to fit together. Malcolm's the guy that loses out, and it didn't go down too well. Wouldn't surprise me if there has to be a similar kind of hit for the team.
Yeah, there's only 2 players with a 0 dead money and a pretty significant cap gain. That's Barnett and Marquise Goodwin. Now, Barnett saves $10 million, Goodwin saves $7 million. And then you look at Alshon Jeffrey, let's say he's a 2-1 cut. You're saving another $13 million off the cap. Now you're at $21 million still over the cap. Because dead money for Wentz is $59 million. He's not going anywhere, obviously. Cox, dead money next year is 15.3. Brandon Graham, 17.2. Lane Johnson's dead money is 33.6 million. Slay is 21.7. Hargraves 22.5. Brandon Brooks 12.2. Malik Jackson 12.6. Zach Ertz 7.7. Deshaun Jackson 5.8. Kelsey's 10.1, and he might retire maybe. Say Miles 4.8. McLeod 6.1. Dillard is 7.3. Then you got Jake the Snake is 3.0, and that's the last. Those are all the people that had over $1 million in dead money if you cut them.
Yeah, it's mad, and it's like I didn't think it was that bad until I looked at it and was like, oh, I would not want to be Howie Roseman right now.
You think the salary cap increasing?
Yeah, what?
You think they were banking on the salary caps?
Maybe. I mean, I know why they're not spending. Like, they've got $21 million. And the only reason it sparked it in my head was, like, they've got $20 million in cap space now. And Rasul Douglas takes a pay cut. And I'm like, why? He's making, like, 7p an hour anyway. Why is he losing more money? Yeah. Got around that, and I'm like, the Eagles don't need cap. I think they're just trying to carry it. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, why wouldn't you just try and keep as much as you can front-loaded? So you can still have those front-loaded deals and work with the back-ended ones to slowly sift out this conveyor belt. Because at the minute, you've got back-loaded deals here and a load of front-loaded money. It makes sense to just start moving that conveyor belt a bit, because if you don't, it's going to get a little bit wild. And I don't want to put panic factor 7 on the podcast, but it's hard to look at that picture and not be a little bit like, well, okay, where do you even start with that? Like, what player do you get rid of first? So in my opinion, Barnett should have been traded this year, because you then avoid the 5th-year option hit, and you can hit reset, whether it was for, you know, the Mr. Jacksonville man who we shan't mention, whether it was for a first-round rookie, whoever it was, like, if it was a Clowney, whatever, like, just something to reset and give you that upper again. They haven't done that. And now you're stuck at defensive end, where Graham, as Chris said, is got a stupid dead cap hit next year. Barnett will be making $10 million next year in the 5th-year option. Sweat at that point and is going to be looking at a potential new deal. And he's in a bit of a tricky situation because he hasn't proven he can be a reliable DT2. And it's like, there are so many positions like that. Like cornerback, Slay's getting a buttload of money. It's all unproven for now. So what if you've got to pay a cornerback next year? And it's like, there are so many tricky paths to navigate right now where it's at least worth just looking at and saying, all right, well, where do we even look at going from here?
And that cap space doesn't even factor all the rookies right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is just to get to neutral, let alone find the money for rookies.
It's like just a little silver lining. In 2025, we only have one player under contract.
Brilliant. So by the time I'm 31
Lane Johnson.
Oh wow.
Well, it's not even Carson.
His cap number will be 20 million.
Oh wow.
In 2024, that's when we have 10 people on roster. Wentz has $32 million cap hit.
Yeah, it's gonna get juicy.
It's only the essentials though. It's Wentz, Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, Jake Elliott, Brandon Graham, Malik Jackson, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Seumalo, Rodney McLeod, and Javon Hargrave by 2024.
I can't see Malik Jackson staying past next year.
Yeah, I don't see Malik Jackson staying at all.
I think he will, unless he has a ridiculous season and Hargrave goes down, which, hey, it's the Eagles, it's possible. Do you know what I really don't like as well, on a totally separate note? Peterson's conference where they're on about virtual workouts and what to do. There was a question about what would they do if a player gets sick during training camp or preseason. And he was, we have full trust in our medical staff. And I'm like, mate, they can't even handle a stinger injury. How the hell are they going to handle COVID-19?
I mean, to his credit, it is a new head of both.
Yeah, I know. I'm messing.
But we've had a new head of everything the last 4 years. Every year he's been around, we've had a new doctor. So it's like, all right, let's see if he gets this right. Carson got a little bit of a fever. He's going to be out, a couple days. And then we have Jalen Hurts the whole season. Because somehow a fever ended up being a broken leg. So
wouldn't surprise me.
Well, I shouldn't have used Carson as an example because now people would come out to me like Wentz doesn't. Shut up. You know I love Wentz. What? By the way, to end on this, I put out a tweet today. That was again. I like to put out all these stats and stuff, and this seemed a little nitpicky.
A bit of a stat head recently.
I did. It seems a little nitpicky, but like when I do these stats, I like to compare his career to who has also done his career. So I looked at, there was a little bit of a loophole in this in a minute. I said there's only one quarterback in NFL history who started 56 or more games in the first 4 seasons, which Wentz did, had 90 more touchdowns. He has 97. 35 or less interceptions. He has 35. 14,000 or more passing yards, 14,191, and while averaging 250 yards per game. And it's just Wentz. He's the only person to ever do that. Now, if you lower it down by 10 yards, you add Manning, you add Blake Bortles, you add Dak, you add a couple other names, and people are like all over it. They're like, this is such a can there be any more qualifiers? I'm literally looking to see who did his season. So that's why it's not like I'm looking who was the last quarterback to throw 250 yards while eating a waffle for breakfast. I'm not doing that. But someone commented on saying, but who threw the immaculate reception and scored the winning Super Bowl touchdown? The Steelers. They went on to win the Super Bowl 4 more times in the 70s. I believe there are now 6 Super Bowl wins for the Steelers. But being female, I don't have to know. I just enjoy. 2 NFL teams in the same state. What the hell does that have to do with what the hell I said?
Well, the old saying, right, that if you're not winning the argument, change the argument.
Hey, what the hell? But I will say there is a loophole with this, and a good friend of mine is a Packers fan. And he said, not for nothing, but Rodgers' first 4 seasons as starter, he had 131 touchdowns, 34 interceptions, 17,000 yards, 275 yards per game, an NFL MVP and a Lombardi. I said, well, it wasn't his rookie year to his 4th year. He sat for 3 years. So he was a little bit more mature in his age.
So in Aaron Rodgers' first 4 years, he threw for 0 yards.
Yeah. And I responded, well, Wentz should have been MVP, and he does have a Lombardi, so suck it.
Technically does.
He would have been MVP if he stayed healthy, and he has a Lombardi. He has a ring, so
yeah,
suck it, Terry.
It could be worse. I mean, did he hear my podcast the other day? I'll take that as I'll take that. I shouldn't have asked. You definitely did, because how dare you not?
Of course. It's in our contract. It's in our job description.
I'll be honest. Ever since I've been home, I have not listened to any podcast, not even our own podcast.
Yeah, I'm not listening to many. I listened to your one the other day, which is amazing.
I do. We do the recording and then we hope for the best afterwards.
Yeah, you just throw it out there. I wing it.
You know, there was that time last year, someone asked me if I ski. Like, just as a question, just like they submitted a podcast question via email, which was, "Do you ski?" It's like, thanks, great, thanks for that. So that's lovely. They emailed again last week and asked me how many noses do slugs have, which I don't know what I can say really, but they have 4. So I'd throw that out there while we're talking Twitter.
You know, one time I tried. I was throwing out the trash over here, and I tried to avoid these 2 slugs on the floor, and I thought I was skipping over it, and all I hear is whoosh. I'm like, oh, that's bad.
So I had a student. I'm not going to say
I'm not
name,
done
obviously.
yet. I'm not done yet.
Oh, shut up.
I'm not done yet. Listen, I went outside 10 minutes later. It was gone. And
you sent it to the afterlife. Well done.
I crushed it in half. Like, it was completely just like it never existed.
I had an old camper a few years ago, and I'm not going to release the name obviously because I will get sued up my ass. But it's not that they would listen to this anyway. I'm outside where I went with the kids, and they see a big caterpillar, like this big. Like it wasn't a caterpillar, sorry, it was a grasshopper, literally this big. It was huge, and the kids are like, "Oh my god, wow!" I'm like, "Yeah, look at it." And then I'm like, all right, guys, just leave it alone. Let it hang out. Let it go home. And they all leave except for this one kid. And I turn and I look at him. And he picks up his foot and he slams it on the grasshopper. And I'm like,
isn't that illegal?
Oh, we're going to call your dad. Because I am concerned.
But isn't that illegal? Hey. Protect the animals?
I don't know, but that was one of the telling signs of a serial killer.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, meanwhile over here, I had a housefly the other week. I got emotionally attached to, and when I let it go, I cried. Like that's a true. That's 2 different types of people there. Jesus.
I will say though, I'm very proud of my wife. If she's listening, she's not, because the door's closed. Today she let 2 spiders live.
Oh wow, big though.
She does not let any spiders live. I think becoming a mom has really, really softened her up, because she looked at it, and she said, I looked at it and I said, what is it doing to me? And she said, nothing. So I just let it go. Like, wow, that was very big of you. Because if it was any other day, you would have gotten a ladder or you would have called me in and said, get the flame torch out and get it out.
Just throwing some pie at it.
Just throwing some pie, you see? The whole episode comes full circle, you see?
Yeah, see, that's what we do.
Funny thing about spiders, I'm terrified of spiders. And the first in-person podcast that we did at Chris's house.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Freaking spider came out of nowhere and landed on the laptop. And I was thinking death. I was thinking about, team deathmatch, Call of Duty style, anarchy.
Brian thought he was quitting PSN right there. He was done.
This guy just picks it up like, oh, okay, yeah.
There's a freaking daddy long legs.
I don't care. He's on my laptop.
There's like the
laptop.
They are the most venomous. One of the most venomous spiders in the world. It's just their teeth are so small they can't kill you.
So why do you let me kill it?
Because their teeth are so small they can't kill you. You won't even feel them bite you. You won't even feel them bite you. Daddy long legs actually take out all the bad bugs, like the bees and all that. They take them out.
They ain't doing anything. Now we got killer hornets in the United States. So
no, they're not. They're not killer hornets. They're murder hornets.
Yeah, see, we had a thing of
they don't come around and say I'm gonna kill you. They say I'm gonna murder you, and I feel like that's a worse.
See, I hate that's my thing. Like I'm not scared of much, but anything that buzzes is not a fan. Bumblebees.
Your phone is never on vibrate.
Any what? Sorry.
Is that why your phone is never on vibrate?
Yeah, pretty much. That's why I never respond to text, because I'm like, I hear it and I think there's a bee around me and I'm like, oh, no way. Then I check my phone 6 hours later and Brian's like, Liam, you had a podcast a day ago. And I'm like, oh, shit.
If you're still listening to us, we thank you for hanging out with us. And And that's how we end our segment today, because there's really nothing else to talk about these days.
LJ, thank you for joining us today, man. It's
Yes,
always a
thank you.
pleasure. You know, you're always
Thank you for having me. And
We started this podcast when it was light out over here, and now look at me.
Mate, I looked outside, it's pitch black. I look again in an hour, it'll be nearly daylight. That's not a good vibe. But
No.
no, thanks for having me on, boys. It's always fun stopping by and checking in as the proud father that I am. And yeah, just keep doing you boys and making me cry and getting all emotional. You're killing it.
We have just so you know, and I'm not going to reveal the details. I have a lot of big things in the works.
Damn, it's flipping the Chris.
A quarantined Chris is a spicy.
Do these involve asking me what other body parts I do or don't shave?
It's possible. It's possible.
I look forward to it.
Oh my god. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to this week's special episode of Flippin' the Birds. Again, I'm Brian Cameron. He's Chris Infante, and the guy leaving laughing is Liam Jenkins. On another note,
Go Birds.